Okay, we are starting a new section. We have completed the first force. Now we are starting on the second force. The second force, now it is called learning. At one time it was called behaviorism, and I think individuals probably shied away from it because it was called behaviorism. Behaviorism might have gotten a few negative remarks and this type of thing. But anyway, the first force was Freudian, psychoanalytical. The second force is behaviorism. And even though you don't have either in your ebook or your textbook, you do not have this theorist, he probably really wasn't a theorist in the pure sense that we are thinking of a theorist that does have some type of approach that will help self and others. Nonetheless, the conditioning of individuals and the foundation for behaviorism could certainly be contributed to a large part, maybe not totally, but at least to a large part, to an individual named Ivan Pavlov. And you probably heard of Ivan Pavlov and the salivating dog. They were working on the digestive system of the dog, presenting meat powder to the dog, and would see the dog's reaction. And then Pavlov noticed that even when his assistant would walk in the room, that the stomach and the salivary glands started to secrete. So this gave him an idea, and from this he developed it a little bit further, and we will be discussing this. What is important about this is that advertisements of today are built on the concept of Pavlovian classical conditioning. Why is it called classical conditioning? I don't know. Maybe because it was the first type of conditioning that took place. And as we look at Ivan Pavlov, who was a Russian scientist, the example of this there, if you sound a buzzer for 5 seconds and a second later put a puff of air into the person's eye, the person will blink. That's kind of a natural reflex, kind of a natural reaction. After several pairings then of the buzzer, poof, puff of air in the eye blinks. Then after several pairings of the buzzer and the puff of air, the person will probably blink at just the sound of the buzzer alone. This is one of the concepts that we want to understand. First of all, this concept, it takes a pairing. And the pairing is the puff of air with the buzzer. Now, these were experiments that were carried out by Pavlov. He originated this. And so down below there, we have the U.S. unconditioned stimulus. That means that it would just naturally happen. And we have the UR, the unconditioned response. And then we have the conditioned stimulus, and we have the conditioned response. Now, after Pavlov noticed with his dog salivating with the assistant walking into the room, he hooked up a buzzer and would just hit the buzzer at the same time presenting the food. Then he would just hit the buzzer by itself and the dog would respond. Okay. Now, want to get these straight. The unconditioned stimulus is the stimulus that would happen without the pairing of anything. The unconditioned response is the response to that particular conditioning. Then the conditioned stimulus is the stimulus that would happen when it is paired with the unconditioned stimulus, which is the natural occurring stimulus. And then we have the conditioned response. If a person would walk up to someone and put their hand in the air and stick a person with a pin, the person would jump. Not from the hand being in the air, probably, unless it was a threatening manner, but we're going to put that to one side. But being pricked with a pin is what would cause the person to jump. All right. Now then, if a person would walk up to another then after the person has been conditioned and just put the hand in the air, the person would probably respond in a jerky type manner without even being pricked, because they are associating the hand in the air with the prick of the pin. Okay, so we have unconditioned stimulus and unconditioned response. Now, I hope that you have this in mind, because we will be doing additional work in this as far as your assignments is concerned. Remember, we have left the first force now, which was the psychoanalytical force of Freud, and the neo-Freudians, which varied from Freud's original psychoanalytical approach. That was the first force. Now we are working on the second force. Now next we will be talking about Watson, John B. Watson, who carried this a little bit further, and then we will be looking at B.F. Skinner. And those are the three individuals that we will be looking at as the second of the three forces. So until we get to J.B. Watson, I hope that all is going well, and we'll be seeing you then.